Only 1% of Dark Chosen Ones survive these 7 demonic realm attacks. Those people do not know what they are truly made of until they are dragged into a place where everything they thought they were begins to dissolve. I'm not talking about metaphorical discomfort or a bad day that challenges your routine. I'm talking about a confrontation so intense, so spiritually violent, that your mind begins to fracture, your soul begins to scream, and your body feels like it's caught in a storm that has no name. That is what it means to be thrown into the demonic realms. Not the hells of myth, but deeper dimensions of raw, chaotic, ancient intelligence, forces that test the very structure of your being. These are not attacks that come because you are weak. They come because you are chosen, because there is something in you that threatens the system of illusion, and only 1% survive, not because they're lucky, but because they become something unbreakable through the fire. When I say Dark Chosen Ones, I don't mean evil, I mean those who were born to walk the edge, those who were never meant to be part of the crowd. You know if this is you, because you've always felt it. You've always carried a strange weight, a sense that something was watching, a knowing that your life would never be normal. And maybe you've tried to run from it, you've tried to be like everyone else, you shrink to silence your gifts, to numb your sensitivity. But the demonic realms don't let you hide. They call you out. They come for you, and when they do, everything changes.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first attack is the collapse of all meaning. This happens when everything you once believed in, your goals, your values, your identity, suddenly feels empty. It's like your soul is being unplugged from the matrix, and nothing makes sense anymore. You wake up and feel like a ghost in your own life. Friends don't recognize you. Your passions vanish overnight. Even your memories begin to feel like they belong to someone else. This is not depression, it is disintegration. The demonic realm is erasing the false self you've built over lifetimes, and if you cling to it, you suffer. But if you let go, if you allow the emptiness to be your teacher, it will begin to reveal what is real. You must ask yourself, who are you when there is nothing left to define you? The second attack is the mirror of distortion. This is when your shadow is amplified beyond control. You begin to see the ugliest parts of yourself reflected everywhere. People trigger you constantly. You feel judged, rejected, misunderstood. But what's really happening is your unconscious wounds are being dragged into the light. The demonic realm is not showing you lies, it's showing you what you've refused to face. You might lash out, you might isolate, you might spiral, but this attack is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to force you into radical self-honesty. The question is, can you see the monster in yourself and still choose to love it, integrate it, and rise above it? Then comes the third attack, energetic invasion. This one is terrifying. You feel entities around you. You wake up with scratches, hear whispers, suffer sleep paralysis, experience sudden rage or despair that isn't yours. The veil between realms thins, and you become a beacon, a battleground. But here's the truth the world won't tell you. These beings are not attacking you for fun. They are feeding on your unclaimed power. They are drawn to your potential. The Dark Chosen Ones are lighthouses in spiritual war zones, and your aura becomes a signal. But you are not powerless. You must learn to manage your energy like a warrior. Cleanse daily, set boundaries, command your space. If you do not claim your field, something else will. Ask yourself, are you the master of your energy or the victim of it? The fourth attack is timeline fragmentation. Suddenly, your life feels like it's splitting into alternate versions. You have vivid dreams of other realities. You feel multiple futures pulling at you. You make a choice and feel like another you made a different one. You begin to question what's real. This is not confusion, it's dimensional pressure. The demonic realm is testing your coherence. Can you hold your center while your mind is pulled in a dozen directions? Can you stay rooted in your soul frequency while being shown infinite possibilities? The truth is, the more power you carry, the more timelines you influence. You must choose with clarity, or chaos will choose for you. What version of you are you feeding with your focus right now? The fifth attack is the betrayal of the inner circle. People you love suddenly turn on you. Friends become enemies. Mentors disappoint you. Family members say things that cut you to the core. This is not random. The demonic realm uses those closest to you to pierce your heart, because it knows your open heart is your gateway to power. This is the test of discernment over attachment. Can you still love without needing to be liked? Can you release those who no longer resonate, even if they once saved you? Can you stand alone if it means standing for your truth? This attack teaches you that loyalty to self must come before loyalty to others. So, who are you still holding on to that your soul has already outgrown? The sixth attack is the silence of the divine. Just when you need guidance the most, everything goes quiet. Your rituals stop working, your intuition feels numb, synchronicities vanish. It feels like you've been abandoned by the very forces you were devoted to. But this is not punishment. This is the final initiation into inner authority. The demonic realm wants to see if you'll collapse without external validation. The divine wants to see if you'll rise anyway. True power is born when you act from knowing, not hoping, when you walk forward without a sign, because your soul is the sign. So I ask you, can you keep walking when heaven stops talking? And then the seventh attack arrives. The seventh gate, possession, madness, and the test of divine identity. The seventh attack is the most feared, the most misunderstood, and the most spiritually lethal. It is not just an experience, it is a complete breakdown of the boundary between self and other, reality and illusion, heaven and hell. This is the gate of possession and madness, but at its core, it is the test of divine identity. Only the 1% of dark chosen ones who have walked through fire without flinching, who have lost everything false and still chosen to rise, only they survive this gate. Because what you face here isn't just an entity or a nightmare. You face yourself, without filters, without stories, without structure. And if you are not solid in your essence, you will dissolve. Possession doesn't always look like the horror movies. Sometimes it's subtle. It begins with thoughts that aren't yours, emotional surges that come out of nowhere, a strange hunger for chaos, a voice inside that criticizes you in a language you don't even consciously understand. You feel watched. You feel guided, but not by light. You feel like something is trying to merge with you, and it is, because this is the point where every unintegrated fragment of your psyche, every unhealed trauma, every ancestral curse, every karmic loop, and yes, every opportunistic entity comes to claim their place in your temple. The question is, who do you allow in? This is not just spiritual warfare, this is spiritual purification by fire. The madness begins when you try to hold on to every part of you at once. Your mind fractures because it was never designed to carry so many identities. The demonic realm feeds on fragmentation. It thrives on inner division. It whispers, "You are lost, you are broken, you are nothing." And if you believe that for even a moment, the entity steps in. It fills the void. It wears your face. It speaks with your voice. And suddenly, you're no longer sure who's in control. The descent into madness isn't always loud. It can be quiet. You become numb, dissociated. You lose time. You forget who you were. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. Possession only works where permission has been unconsciously given. The parts of you that you suppress, deny, and reject become entry points. So if you want to survive the seventh gate, you must do something terrifying. You must own everything. Your rage, your lust, your grief, your shame, your power. You must become a sovereign ecosystem where no part of you is exiled. Integration is your only shield. Self-possession is your only weapon. And that requires a level of self-honesty that most people aren't willing to reach, because it means saying, yes, that darkness is mine, but so is the light that can hold it. This gate also tests your spiritual discernment. Not every voice in your head is divine guidance. Not every dream is a prophecy. Not every synchronicity is a sign from the universe. Some are traps. Some are echoes of old wounds. Some are implants from energies that want to manipulate your path. When you open yourself up to the spiritual realms, you're not just opening a door to angels. You're opening a door to everything. And if you don't know how to filter, how to anchor, how to command your inner space with clarity and authority, you'll be swept away. That's why most don't make it through this gate. They mistake madness for magic. They confuse chaos for creativity. They fall in love with the voice in their head because it flatters them. And by the time they realize they were being used, it's too late. But for the 1% who survive, something incredible happens. They don't just escape madness. They transcend identity. They realize they were never just a name, a body, a story. They are consciousness itself, choosing to wear a temporary mask. They become lucid inside the dream. They become the observer, the creator, and the destroyer of their inner world. The entity that once tried to possess them becomes an ally. The madness becomes wisdom. The fire becomes fuel. They no longer need to fight the darkness because they've become light so dense that darkness bends around them. This is the birth of divine identity, not the spiritual ego identity that says, I am chosen, I am better, but the silent embodied knowing that says, I am, period. I am the flame that cannot be consumed. I am the mirror that reflects back truth. I am the sacred contradiction, human and divine, shadow and light, chaos and order, all at once. And in that knowing, the demonic forces retreat, because there's nothing left to feed on. There's no fracture, no doubt, no entry point. The temple is sealed. The throne is filled. The sovereign has returned. So now I ask you, with all the weight of this truth pressing against your chest, who are you when everything false is stripped away? Not the version of you that performs or pleases, not the version that seeks approval, the raw you, the eternal you. Have you met them yet? And if not, What's still standing in the way? The forgotten weapon, how the dark chosen turn pain into power and master the void. Most people believe power is found in light, in clarity, in peace, but those who've walked the true path, the dark chosen ones, know that real power is forged in the void. Not the poetic void people use to sound deep, but the actual place of nothingness. The space where your thoughts don't save you, your beliefs don't protect you, and your spiritual practices fall silent. It's the place you arrive at after the seventh gate, when your mind has collapsed, your guides have gone quiet, and even your soul feels distant. And in that terrifying silence, something ancient stirs. That something is your forgotten weapon. It's not love, not light, not even willpower. It's your ability to transmute pain into power without needing to escape it. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the raw fuel of transformation. But we've been trained to avoid it, numb it, spiritualize it away. We say things like, everything happens for a reason, or just raise your vibration to bypass the confrontation. But the dark chosen ones know better. We don't run from pain, we descend into it. We sit in the fire until it speaks. We don't try to escape the void. We become fluent in its silence, because we've learned something most people can't even comprehend. If you can't face your pain, you'll never access your power. What makes the dark chosen ones different is not that we suffer more, it's that we suffer consciously. We allow the wound to open us instead of closing us. We don't just cry, we listen to the tears. We don't just feel rage, we follow it to its source. Every scar becomes a sigil, every heartbreak becomes a portal, every loss a teacher. We stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what does this pain want me to be? And that's when the alchemy begins. You see, the void strips you of everything that isn't essential. It's the place where your ego dies, your distractions vanish, and your soul starts speaking in a voice you forgot you had. But most people never stay long enough to hear it. They panic, they grasp, they escape. But the few who stay, who breathe through the suffocation, who pray without expecting an answer, who surrender without needing an outcome, those are the ones who awaken the forgotten weapon. Not a blade, not a spell, but a frequency, a vibration that says, I've been through hell and I'm still here. That energy can't be faked, it can't be taught, it can only be earned. This is where the internal shift happens. You stop trying to be saved. You stop waiting for signs. You stop begging the universe to rescue you. Instead, you stand up in the middle of the void, naked, trembling, and say, if there's no path, I'll carve one. That's the moment the void bows to you. That's the moment the demonic realm stops testing you and starts respecting you. Because now they know you're not just chosen, you've chosen yourself. And that's the hidden truth. The dark chosen ones are not marked by fate, they are forged by choice. Every moment you choose to stay when it hurts, to see when it's ugly, to love when it's raw, to rise when it's hopeless, you're wielding the forgotten weapon. You're becoming the storm, not by avoiding the darkness, but by mastering it. So let me ask you something. What pain in your life are you still avoiding because you've forgotten it's your portal? What part of your void have you mislabeled as punishment when it's actually initiation? You don't need more light, you need to let the dark finish its work, because only then will you remember what you really are. Not a victim of your pain, but a wielder of it, a master of the silence, the sovereign of the void. when the war ends, living as a legend after the demonic realms break you open. There comes a moment after the fire, after the void, after the madness, when everything goes quiet. Not because the battle is over for good, but because you are no longer fighting yourself. The war was never truly external. Yes, the demonic realms are real. Yes, entities exist. Yes, spiritual attacks happen. But the final battle was always inside you. And when that battle ends, when the parts of you that once betrayed each other finally sit at the same table, when your light stops judging your dark and your wounds stop screaming for attention, you don't become a saint, you become a legend. But here's the truth no one tells you. Living after the war is often harder than surviving it, because now you're awake in a world that is still asleep. You've seen behind the veil. You've touched the source. You've screamed in the presence of your own shadow and didn't die. But the world keeps running on autopilot. People talk about shallow things. They chase illusions. They avoid depth. They ask you questions they don't want real answers to. And you're standing there, holding galaxies in your chest, wondering if anyone around you even knows what they are. The loneliness is sacred. It's part of the path. You're not here to fit in anymore. You're here to hold frequency. You're here to walk into rooms and shift the energy just by existing. You're here to be silent when others are shouting, to act with purpose when others are reacting in fear. You're here to embody what others only read about. And that requires discipline, not the kind that punishes you, but the kind that honors what you've become. You are not the same person who entered the demonic realms. You are not the same version of yourself that begged for signs, that needed saving, that feared the dark. You've become the kind of being that angels whisper about and demons respect, not because you're perfect, but because you're real, because you no longer pretend, you no longer abandon yourself to be accepted, you no longer chase light to avoid your shadow. You've learned how to be whole, and wholeness is the most dangerous thing in a world built on fragmentation. Now the question becomes, what do you do with this power? The dark chosen ones who survive must make a choice. Do you retreat into silence, into the mountains, into the caves of solitude, or do you come back down the mountain, into the city, into the chaos, and live among the world as a lighthouse? Both paths are valid, but remember, legends are remembered not just because they survived, but because they taught others how to survive. Your life becomes a transmission. Your presence is your teaching. You don't need a podium, a platform, or 1,000,000 followers. You need integrity, the rarest energy in existence. And when you live with that kind of integrity, people will feel it. They might not understand you, but they will remember you. This is the afterlife of your initiation, not heaven, not paradise, but embodied divinity. You still cry, you still bleed, you still doubt, but underneath it all, there is an unshakable center, a silence that holds everything, a flame that no longer flickers. This is what it means to walk the earth as a living myth, not because you're trying to be one, but because you became one. By doing what 99% couldn't, you faced the darkness and didn't flinch. So now I leave you with a final question. What will your legend be? Not the story you tell others, the one your energy tells. The one etched in your field, in the way you speak, in the way you love, in the way you walk into a room and make the air feel different. You've earned your place. Now, live like it. The war's over. Now begins the reign.